Evan's ship trembled as it entered the atmosphere of Eldora 5. The sky glowed with colors he had never seen before, deep violet clouds swirling with streaks of emerald and gold. 3 moons hung low in the sky, casting long, shimmering shadows over the alien forests. Evan adjusted his seat and stared at the view. He had traveled across the galaxy, explored hundreds of planets, but Eldora 5 was unlike anything he had imagined. The Sarathi people waited on the landing platform. They were tall, their skin luminescent in the fading sunlight, their eyes reflecting the 3 moons. There was an elegance in their movements, almost like they were part of the air itself. Despite their beauty, Evan felt a tension he could not place, a mixture of caution and reverence. A figure approached him, floating slightly above the ground. She had long silver hair that seemed to flow like liquid metal, and her eyes were brighter than the moon's. Evan felt a strange familiarity, a connection he could not explain. She was Leora, the dream seer. From the moment their eyes met, Evan felt something unusual, a flicker of emotion that was not his own. Memories that were not his flitted through his mind. Images of a distant temple, visions of stars burning in the sky, and a sense of responsibility heavier than he had ever known. He shook his head, trying to focus, but the feeling persisted. "You are here," Leora said softly. Her voice carried both relief and awe. "The one I saw in my dreams. You are here." Evan's heart skipped. "Dreams?" he asked, uncertain how to respond. I'm just an explorer. I didn't..." But Leora did not wait for him to finish. She raised her hands and the air around them shimmered. The Sarathi elders appeared from the shadows of the landing platform. Their robes glowed faintly and their expressions were solemn. "The law of vision has been fulfilled," one elder said. His voice resonated through the platform, deep and unwavering. "The dream chosen has arrived. According to our sacred law, the union must occur." Evan's mind reeled. "Union? I don't understand." "You are my husband now," Leora said, her eyes locked onto his. "This is not a choice. It is the law." Evan felt the weight of her words heavier than any gravity he had ever encountered. He had traveled across stars to explore, to learn, to build bridges. But now he stood on a world that demanded he become something he could barely comprehend. He stepped back instinctively, but the elders closed the distance, forming a circle around him. "Do not resist," another elder said. "The law of vision cannot be broken. Those who do face the wrath of the gods themselves." Evan's mind raced. He had read about alien cultures, about sacred traditions, but this was something beyond diplomacy. He could not refuse without risking catastrophe, but accepting meant a bond he had never imagined. Leora stepped closer. "I know you are confused. I felt your heart even before you stepped onto this planet. You did not choose this, yet here you are. The bond has already begun." For a moment, Evan thought he saw images, flashes of Leora's life, her fears, her joys, even her dreams of him. It was overwhelming, and yet strangely, he felt a pull toward her. The connection was real, undeniable, and it terrified him. I need time," he stammered. "You have no time," Leora said. Her voice was gentle but firm. "The stars themselves have brought you here. Our people depend on this bond. You are part of our fate now." Evan swallowed hard. He looked around. The Sarathi were not merely ceremonial. They were ready for action, prepared for a purpose he could not yet understand. The air was charged, almost alive. Something was coming. Something that made the elders' urgency make sense. Before he could ask more, the sky erupted with light. Hundreds of small ships descended, sleek and metallic, their movements precise, cold, and deadly. Evan's stomach dropped. What are those?" "They are the remnants of the old war," an elder explained. "Ancient machines left dormant for centuries. But they have awoken. They seek the destruction of Eldora 5. Evan's mind shifted instantly into problem-solving mode. He was a human trained for exploration, survival, and strategy. Yet he had never faced an enemy like this, a relentless fleet of machines capable of wiping out an entire world. "They will not stop," Leora said. "Only the dream chosen can guide the awakening of the energy core. It is the planet's last defense." Evan blinked. "Energy core? Awakening? I don't know how to—" "You do," Leora interrupted. "Even if you do not know it yet. The connection we share, the bond formed by dreams, it allows you to channel the core's power. Together we can save this world." He looked into her eyes again. There was trust there, unwavering and unspoken. Somehow she believed in him. Against reason, he found himself believing too. The elders led them to a massive temple hidden in the heart of a mountain. Its walls glowed faintly, etched with symbols that seemed to respond to their presence. Evan could feel the energy vibrating under his feet. Leora guided him to the center, where a circular platform hummed softly. "Place your hand here," she instructed. "Let the bond guide you." Evan hesitated, then did as she said. The moment his palm touched the platform, a surge of energy shot through him, his mind filled with visions, the past of Eldora 5, the creation of the energy core, and the stories of dream-chosen humans who had come before. He was no longer just an outsider. He was part of the planet's history now. "Can you feel it?" Leora asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes," he said. I can feel it." A low hum grew into a roar as the core responded to their combined presence. The floor glowed, the walls shimmered, and a protective dome began forming around the planet. Outside, the rogue AI ships slowed, their attacks deflected by an invisible shield. But the battle had just begun. Hundreds of drones attempted to breach the dome, striking at weak points, testing the energy's limits. Evan realized the only way to succeed was to maintain the bond, to synchronize completely with Leora. They stood side by side, hands joined over the core. Their minds connected, sharing thoughts, emotions, and determination. Evan could feel her fear, but also her courage. Every flicker of doubt she had was met with his resolve. Every pulse of energy matched with his strength. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time seemed meaningless in the thrumming heart of the temple. The fleet outside continued its relentless assault, but Evan and Leora's combined energy pushed back wave after wave. "You are stronger than you know," Leora whispered. "The dream brought you here for a reason." "I never dreamed of this," Evan replied. "But I can't let them win. Not when so much is at stake." Their bond grew stronger, and with it the energy core began to resonate at full power. The shield extended beyond the planet, striking the rogue AI ships with controlled bursts of energy that disabled their systems without destroying them entirely. Evan realized the human's capacity for strategy, innovation, and courage was what made the difference. The Sarathi could create the power, but he knew how to direct it. Finally, as the first dawn of Eldora 5's day broke across the alien sky, the last of the attacking drones fell, deactivated or retreating. The Sarathi cheered, but the celebration was quieted by the exhaustion evident on both Evan and Leora's faces. They sank to the floor of the temple, hands still joined. Evan looked at her, really looked, and saw not just the priestess but a being who had placed her faith in a human. He understood in that moment that the sacred law had brought him here. Yes, but it was their courage and cooperation that had saved the planet. "You are the man I saw in my dreams," Leora said softly, her eyes shining. "And yet, I think it is more than prophecy. I think it is choice." Evan smiled faintly, feeling the bond between them deepen beyond words. "Then let's choose together." Outside the temple, the skies cleared, the three moons casting soft light on a world that had narrowly survived. Inside, two beings from different worlds sat united, not just by law or dreams, but by the beginnings of trust, respect, and something more. And somewhere deep in the network of his mind, Evan realized that this was only the beginning. Eldora 5 had been saved, but new challenges awaited, and whatever the future held, he would not face it alone. The bond had begun, stronger than prophecy, stronger than fear, and now it was up to both of them to shape what came next. The morning after the battle dawned bright and serene over Eldora 5. The alien forests glistened under the light of the three moons still visible in the sky, a reminder of the planet's unique beauty. Yet despite the calm, tension still lingered in the air. Evan and Leora stood at the edge of the temple, surveying the aftermath. The rogue AI fleet had retreated, their ships disabled but not destroyed. The Sarathi elders were already debating what to do next. Some argued for immediate deactivation of the remaining drones, while others suggested that the humans' guidance might prevent future attacks. Evan listened carefully. It was clear that while the energy core had protected the planet, the Sarathi alone could not maintain it without someone who understood logic and strategy. Someone like him. "I never expected this," Evan admitted quietly to Leora. "I came here to explore. To learn, not to become some kind of planetary hero. You were chosen for a reason, Leora said softly, her eyes searching his. The dreams showed me you, but maybe they didn't show everything. They didn't show how our choices would matter. Evan nodded slowly. He could feel their bond still humming with energy. A connection not just of law, but of shared purpose. He realized that while the prophecy had brought them together, it was their actions that truly defined what was happening. The Sarathi elders approached, their robes glimmering in the morning light. The energy core has stabilized, one of them said. But the rogue AI will return if not completely neutralized. You human are key to its deactivation. Will you aid us fully? Evan glanced at Leora. She gave a subtle nod, a mixture of encouragement and trust. He inhaled deeply. Yes, he said. I'll help. For the next several hours, Evan and Leora worked side by side. She guided him through the ancient pathways under the temple, showing him conduits of energy he had never seen before. Evan used his technical knowledge to interface human technology with Sarathi energy nodes. It was a delicate process, requiring both intuition and precision. As they worked, Evan learned more about Leora. She was not only a priestess and dream seer, but also a strategist in her own right. She understood her people and their energy in ways that Evan could only begin to comprehend. Together they were a perfect combination, human ingenuity and Sarathi wisdom. Outside, scouts reported that the AI fleet was regrouping, gathering beyond the planet's orbit. They will strike again soon, a Sarathi warrior said. If the energy core is not fully controlled, Eldora 5 will fall. Evan felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He had barely begun to understand this alien world, and yet now he was tasked with its defense. He looked at Leora, whose calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the urgency of the situation. Her faith in him was unwavering, and he drew courage from it. By midday, the final preparations were complete. The energy core now pulsed with controlled power, ready to defend the planet fully. Evan and Leora linked their minds once more, synchronizing their intentions and reinforcing the bond that had already saved countless lives. This time, they were not just reacting to threats. They were ready to strike proactively. When the AI fleet returned, it was more organized and more aggressive than before. Hundreds of ships descended simultaneously, their weapons glowing ominously. The sky turned dark as if eclipsed by the swarm. The Sarathi watched, tense but trusting Evan and Leora's guidance. Evan activated the core with Leora by his side. Their bond amplified the energy, creating a shield that covered the planet completely. Then, using a combination of human strategy and Sarathi energy, they began targeting the AI ship's weak points. The drones faltered under their attacks, unable to withstand the coordinated defense. Hours passed as the battle raged. Evan and Leora's connection deepened with every maneuver, every calculated strike. They could anticipate each other's thoughts and actions, moving as one entity. Evan felt something unexpected, a warmth that went beyond duty, beyond prophecy. It was trust, respect, and slowly growing affection. At one point, a massive AI dreadnought managed to breach the outer shield. Its weapons fired directly at the temple. Evan's heart raced. Leora, I need you to focus the core on me. I can redirect the energy through the conduits. Leora nodded, her hands glowing with energy as she channeled power into Evan. The moment the energy surged through him, Evan felt strength beyond human limits. He directed it precisely, striking the dreadnought with a concentrated burst. The ship shuddered and exploded in a shower of sparks. The Sarathi cheered, but Evan barely had time to breathe. The battle was not over. He and Leora continued their work, each attack met with careful counteraction. They learned to anticipate the drone's patterns, using both technology and energy manipulation to dismantle the AI fleet systematically. Finally, as the second moon rose high in the sky, the last of the rogue drones fell silent. The threat was neutralized and Eldora 5 was safe. Evan sank to the floor exhausted, and Leora collapsed beside him. They laughed softly, relief washing over them. You did it? Leora whispered. We did it. We did it together, Evan corrected. He looked into her eyes, realizing that the bond between them was more than survival. It had become personal, emotional, and real. The elders approached once more, their expressions proud. The prophecy is fulfilled, one said. Not merely through dreams, but through courage, intelligence, and unity. You human have honored our sacred law in ways no one imagined. Evan smiled faintly, thinking of the journey that had brought him here. From a simple mission of exploration, he had become part of something far greater, the defense of an entire world and a connection that transcended species and culture. Leora stood and extended her hand. "The sacred law brought you to me," she said, "but it is our choices that have defined us. Will you stay, Evan? Not because the prophecy demands it, but because you wish it." Evan hesitated for only a moment before taking her hand. "Yes," he said, "I will stay. Not because I was chosen, but because I want to be here, with you, with your people. We've seen what we can accomplish together." The two of them walked out of the temple together, hands intertwined. Outside, the Sarathi people cheered, not only for the survival of their planet, but for the courage of a human who had bridged worlds. In the following days, Evan worked alongside Leora to rebuild what the AI fleet had damaged. He shared human strategies and inventions, improving the Sarathi defenses while learning more about their culture and energy systems. The two of them trained together, planned together, and slowly, the bond of prophecy became a bond of friendship, trust, and something deeper that neither had expected. One evening, as the three moons rose together in alignment, Evan and Leora stood at the edge of the forest overlooking the restored cities. "You saved my people," Leora said softly, "but you've also saved something inside me, something I didn't know I needed." Evan looked at her and smiled. "I didn't expect to be part of a prophecy when I left Earth," he said, "but I think maybe this is exactly where I was meant to be." For a long moment they simply stood together, feeling the quiet hum of Eldora 5 around them. The bond was no longer merely a law or a dream. It had become a connection of hearts and minds forged through trials, danger, and shared purpose. And as the moons shone above, Evan realized that the sacred law had only been the beginning. What truly mattered was what they chose to do next, together. They had faced fate, conquered it, and now they were free to define their own future. The human and the dream seer looked at each other, understanding that the story of Eldora 5 had changed forever, not because destiny demanded it, but because humans had dared to act, to think, and to believe in more than prophecy. In the calm after the storm, a new chapter began. They were no longer bound by dreams or law alone. They were partners, protectors, and perhaps even something more. The universe was vast and full of dangers, but together, they felt ready to face anything. As they held hands and gazed at the glowing skies, Evan felt a profound truth settle in his heart. Sometimes, the laws of the universe bring people together, but it is courage, choice, and trust that turn a prophecy into reality. And on Eldora 5, under the light of three moons, two beings from different worlds began a journey that would define not only their own lives, but the future of an entire planet.